Hello world! Today I'm gonna be unboxing and giving my artist review of the new 128GB iPad 2018, which supports the Apple Pencil. So the new iPad is Apple's recycling process to get a foot into the school market again, and they even have a collaboration with Logitech to produce a cheaper stylus primarily for the schools. What do I think about this? I think it's excellent. They are reusing parts that they have already produced and molded, so they are doing a slight save on the environment while being able to update their cheapest iPad without competing too much with their premium products. By doing this, it means they're also opening up a window for third-party companies to create cheaper accessories that goes with a specific Apple technology. The pen comes in its box with almost nothing else. It does have a converter for the charger and an extra nib, which I was surprised about because I expected to have to buy those separately as well. Even though the Logitech Crayon, as they call it, won't be available to us normal consumers for a while, it's still a step in the right direction. The 2018 iPad is running the A10 microprocessor, which isn't as powerful as the iPad Pro models, but I understand Apple's needs to keep there being some kind of difference between the different lines of iPads. Why would you buy the iPad Pro when you can get the normal one for near to the same price but cheaper? Personally, I'm only a little disappointed in the starting level of the storage memory. It's 2018, 32GB isn't gonna cut it unless you completely live in the cloud. And we're not quite there yet, and neither are you with the Wi-Fi hardware and with the cloud integrations. If it had started out with 64GB of memory for storage, I would have been 100% satisfied with this product. So, enough with the tech talk. But still related to it, since the iPad 2018 is pretty much the exact same model that's been hanging around for a few years and many iPad generations, it's pretty large for its content, and the lack of a laminated screen does make it sound hollow when you draw on it, especially if you don't rest your palm on the screen to stop the vibrations in the glass above the screen. It makes a sound, but it's less noisy when you rest your hand on the screen, and I do rest my hand on the screen most of the time. It's not something I've reacted to more than, oh, it does make a sound. People were right. I have yet to receive any input on how much it bothers others in a silent room, though, but it's not bothering me personally. If you or your roommate have that thing where sounds bothers you, you probably should get the Pro or another tablet entirely. So I've had this for about a month, and I can say that the screen is a little bit slippery to write on with the pen, and the pen itself is slippery, and it loves rolling away on you. I'm light-handed, so it doesn't hurt or slip in my hand, and I also kinda like the slippery surface, so I haven't bought a screen protector or an ergonomic pen holder. I also had a hard time finding the products recommended on YouTube in Europe, so the things I did find wasn't clear enough for me to dare to spend what little money I still have left after buying this iPad, but I can see that some of you might want both of those tools because it is slippery. The box was interestingly difficult to open, but once opened you find the iPad wrapped in a protective plastic sheet first thing. Under it, you will find the charger cable and a little box folder that has the standard information in various languages, more or less telling you that your manual is in another castle and Apple stickers. Here you go. The box contained the information, and the stickers is amusingly enough fluffed up intentionally to be larger than it has to, because it's just a few sheets of paper in it. Underneath the information folder you find the charging unit. It's the standard old one that charges slowly, and like all the other ones, it has a removable plug. It should come with the standard one for the country it's being sold in, or the one specified if you bought it internationally. In my case, it's the EU standard plug. And that's it. Anything else you have to buy separately. So, what do I think is good with this iPad? I love that it's so mobile. It's similar to drawing on a sketchbook and feels like an upgrade still. The size is, in my opinion, much more preferable to the iPad Pro sizes because of the mobility it brings. I like the price. Now, hear me out. It's expensive, but you can't find a mobile art device in this price range that has this high quality. It's not a huge difference in price between the 128GB version and the iPad Pro 10-inch, but when you don't have the money, this is something you might be able to scrape up enough money for, and maybe you don't have a lot of apps, so 32GB might be fine for you. I like that it's compatible with accessories that have already been made for previous generations, which makes it a lot cheaper to shop for and you have a wider variety to pick from. And the battery is bloody amazing! You could say that a producer delivering a promise of battery life that actually matches the reality should be the reality, but it rarely is. However, the battery lasts those promised 10 hours, but in idle mode it barely uses any charge at all. I have charged my iPad 3 times the month I've had it. I don't use it all day, but I have used it a lot. As a bonus, I'm also unboxing the Logitech Slim Folio iPad cover. I will not review this today, but I'm throwing it in as a little extra. The keyboard cover uses Bluetooth technology as this iPad has no smart connector, and it was originally designed for the older iPad models that use the same case as the 2018 iPad. It has a little protective plastic piece to protect the battery from being drained, so remember to remove that before use. The Logitech Slim Folio comes with many different keyboard layouts. I bought this one partially based on an online recommendation, but also because I had issues finding ones with a Nordic layout. So, what is bad or meh about this tablet? Apart from the screen not being laminated, it's making a hollow sound when you hit it with a pencil. It has a weird way of charging the pencil. The cap of the pen is very easy to remove and it doesn't sit on properly. It's just a magnet holding it on and it wiggles a little if you touch it. The palm reaction, it isn't amazing. You need to check under your palm that you didn't make a mark every time you put your hand down, or make sure that the pen actually touched the tablet before your hand did. The touch unlock isn't reliable. I've had the touch and passcode as a backup option, and thank goodness for that, because if I let the pad lie for a bit, it will require me to use a passcode to activate the touch. This is a bit annoying. I can live with that it's slower than the iPad Pros, but the double verification is unnerving and annoying. The speakers aren't placed very well. I am very impressed with the audio quality, but it only has 2 speakers and they are placed at the bottom of the pad on the same side, so in landscape mode it will sound weird if you use in front of the pad. The iPad Pros have 4 speakers, 2 on each side, on the top and the bottom, giving you a stereo experience, and this pad does not. Everything is expensive when you buy an Apple product. It's much harder to find free software, and you kind of have to get Procreate to make it worth it as an artist. You can't use the tilt functionality in many apps, and you kind of need to get the 128GB version, as I visited an Apple store to try out the Pros versus this one, and just the demo apps filled up most of the memory of the 2018 32GB version. It also charges kinda slow. I have a OnePlus 5T with dash charging, and I'm used to a fully loaded device in less than an hour. Compared to that, the old iPad charging capacity tied to the 2018 iPad makes it feel like it's taking forever to charge it in 2 hours. Would I recommend the iPad 2018 with a pencil and Procreate to traditional artists wanting to get into the digital art? The answer is yes. However, you should still consider your options individually over listening to my advice alone. You probably need to invest in Procreate and consider getting the screen protectors designed to make it feel more like paper, because it's gonna be slippery. But iPads also have a high resale value, so if you would decide a few months down that the iPad isn't your thing, you can still get a lot of your money back. It's also closer to working with a sketchbook than a screen tablet or a tablet connected to a computer. You don't have to learn the disconnect between looking at your hand and looking at your screen, or adjusting to that. A lot of screens tablet don't align with actual screens. If you don't have an iPad Pro to compare to, if you aren't used to the Wacom laminated screens, you really won't tell much that there is a gap between the pen and the screen. I'm used to this, and the iPad screen is thinner than my Huion's, so it's actually an improvement for me personally. You can't really tell with the refresh rate either if you are a normal person. The iPad Pros have a better hardware and are an upgrade, but the iPad 2018, in my opinion, is really good if you can't afford the iPad Pro. I'm very pleased with this purchase and I love my device. I have to mention the negatives I could think of, even though a lot of them don't actually bother me. Not knowing of something better does help. I really enjoy drawing on this device, and I think the art I produce is up to par to what I can make on my Huion screen tablet, even though the Apple Pencil is nowhere close to my Huion's 8K pressure levels. It feels a lot more professional. If this had been available when I bought my Huion, I would have picked the iPad over the Huion, even though I love the huge screen that my Huion has. I just can't bring my Huion on the train commuting to work. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to TTY later!